Hey guys, welcome to another movie review. Today I'm talking about an independent film that has a limited theatrical run right now, but it managed to land in a couple theaters in my area, so I managed to go and see it. It is a independent film that's ironically called My Old Ass, and it is a film starring Aubrey Plaza and a couple of other people that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. But it is an independent film where this young girl is about to go off to college. She's kind of at the tail end of the summer after her, senior year of high school got done with, and this is kind of the final weeks before she goes off to college and doesn't get to see the family for a while because she'll be living in a dorm room and all that other stuff that a lot of college students have to deal with when they first leave the house and go off on the next step of their education during journey. But at the beginning of the film, she goes on this camping trip with her friends, and her one of her friends has a like special kind of drug in a bag, and they're guaranteed the high of a lifetime, quote unquote, if they take it. And so, her friends take it first, and they have these weird side effects and, typical drug effects in a movie. They do goofy things and all that other stuff. But ironically enough, the lead character of the film takes the drug now, and she's able to see her future self by taking it. And so she talks to her future self for a while. Her friends are off doing whatever goofy stuff they were before with the side effects of the drugs. And there's a lot of stuff she's learning about herself that she wants to be able to maintain, and things that her future self is warning her younger self about to avoid, in hopes for a better life for herself as she moves into college and all that other stuff. And over the course of this film, both the lead character and her future self even find a way to communicate after this conversation takes place at this camping trip. How to have even further conversations over the phone. So there's like a way they find a way to do that. So over the course of this film, there's a character in particular that her future self does not want her to interact with at all. There's this younger guy named Chad that helps out at her family's cranberry farm that she works at before going off to college. And she keeps warning herself, bad things will happen to you if you keep this relationship with this guy. And so over the course of this film, you have to figure out, what is so wrong about this Chad person. He seems pretty great from the start. There's really nothing super wrong with him. His sense of humor is a little weird sometimes, but for the most part, he seems like a pretty normal guy. And then, we have all this stuff with what her younger self wants to do, certain things that her future self is warning her not to do, certain things that her future self is telling her to do more often so that way she doesn't feel so left out with the family and the family's able to make decisions with her and stuff like that. So over the course of the film My Old Ass, we do find several scenarios where this young girl basically has to live her life. She has to leave certain things behind us before she goes off for college, and she has to be able to take the advice from her future self with a grain of salt and see if what would be the best possible future for herself based off of kind of what happened to her now that she's met her future self too. But overall, guys, I really enjoyed this film a lot. This is a very fun movie. Ever since I heard the concept of this film, ever since I heard how good the film festival buzz was when this film first premiered, I was kind of dying to see it just because I love the concept so much. It's just a great movie. There's great humor in it. There is a lot of great coming of age elements to it. The drama is very effective in it. The characters are really well written. So it's just a terrific film overall. So I do want to go over some positives and negatives as to why I felt this way about this film. So first and foremost, guys, this is a terrific story concept for a movie. I like when an independent film can find such high concepts to work with and really kind of spread their legs and find life and walk to new boundaries and explore stuff that would be pretty easy to basically explore in a film, but you have this great concept going for it that really lets you kind of go leaps and bounds above just going this doing this independent film. You can really kind of do these great concepts based on your central concept alone, and I really like when a film can pursue that. I like when a film can have a central concept that really can kind of go any direction at once at this point because it is such a strong concept to begin with. And it was great to see something so great and something so strong as far as concept goes that it was great to see that pursued in a film like this. And I do like the overall contrast the film had of this girl's younger self and her older self, and how the maturity contrast was very different for the most part. There was a lot of stuff that her younger self was saying that definitely felt like something that I myself, and I'm sure a lot of you watching, would feel about what your younger self would say about certain things. And then there's certain things that her older self says that really feels kind of like where I'm at in life right now, and kind of where life is going to go from here, and probably where well, a lot of people, you yourself included, or would feel like in their 30s and 40s and stuff like that. So I do like that contrast of, when you're in this age, aren't so worried about what people are thinking about you and stuff like that, and then obviously you have the younger self where it's like, oh, party right now. I want to see that one guy right now that I'm really attracted to, and this other person's super fun. I don't see anything wrong with them. I got to go party with them some more and stuff like that. And so I do like that contrast of, clearly a younger version of this person and an older version of the person are at play here, and how the film has a contrast and maturity as to how the two of them are very different, but also very similar to each other as well. And overall, I think the film did a great job depicting both the fun and the horrors that a person faces when they're, at 18, about to go off to college, pre-college life. It's that one last summer before you kind of start that next phase of your journey. I think the film depicts that really well. It does depict kind of the fun side of that, and also kind of the scary side of that, of, what happens when, the family farm gets sold while I'm away, or what happens when one of the brothers of this family, and something bad happens to them, or what happens when something bad happens to one of the parents and you're not there to support them because you're, several hours, or just a long distance away at college, so you're not really at arm's length for an emergency or something like that. So I do like how the film depicts kind of the fun and the scariness of post 18 pre college life, and kind of all the things that get entitled with that. I also do like the overall family and friends characters in this film. I thought they were very strong. They really kind of felt like where you want these characters to be and where they want them to go over the course of this film. Whether it is, the friends that are, helping her have this fun camping trip, or this Chad character that keeps popping up that her future self keeps warning her about, and how there's still things about him that are likable, and you still want him to be a part of this young girl's life, and but at the same time, you're aware of all the stuff that the future self is saying, so you don't want her to get too invested into this potentially dangerous situation and stuff like that. So I do like all the family and friends in this movie, and I liked how their characters were pursued overall over the course of this film too. And overall, I thought the overall camping trip and cranberry farm settings I thought were very fun for this film. It definitely has like a very like up north in the woods kind of a vibe to it. And obviously, with my own family, that when I went with my parents and stuff when we were younger, of all the camping trips that we had, it definitely had kind of that vibe to it of fun family vacation out up north for the week and stuff like that. So I do like all the camping environments and the cranberry farm environments that help complement this film. So not only are we getting a great story, we have a great setting for the story to be told into. For my negatives of this movie, though, some of the main elements of the lead character, I thought were kind of unclear. Like some of her elements about her character, like it's very, and I know the film's trying to make this intentional, but it's like super unclear like what her orientation is, because there's times where she has girlfriends, but she's trying to see this guy. So clearly, some of hers is straight, but some of it isn't, and so there's just a lot of stuff where she has a girlfriend. Clearly, that's set up right away in the movie, but now there's this guy that comes into her life, and now she wants to kind of pursue him now, and it's just like there's just a lot of unclear elements about her that are not really quite clear. Also, with the drug thing too, it's unclear if like she's been like that her whole life. Like, has she just had a drug problem her whole life, or is she just starting to get into it because of this, the side effect of meeting her future self? So there's just a lot of unclear elements that the film never really bothers to answer, that I think kind of bugged me as a viewer leaving the theater, because I wish they kind of answered those questions for me. Um, so there's certain elements about our lead character that just really aren't quite clear to begin with. Another thing about the film too is like early on in the movie, our lead character has a lot of really annoying qualities about her. Thankfully, they drop them, pretty early on in the movie. I would say once Aubrey Plaza shows up and they introduce the whole meeting the future self element, a lot of that is kind of dropped. A lot of it too, I think, because of the contrast of her being kind of annoying when she's younger and her being more of a straight arrow when she's older and stuff like that. Um, but for me personally, I thought some of the elements right away that were introduced to kind of our introduction to this character, if you will, is a little annoying at first. So I thought that aspect of the story could have been better. But like the second we get into Act Two, the second we get into the Aubrey Plaza portion of the film being introduced, the problem gets resolved pretty quickly. But I would say that journey to get to that resolution though was kind of tough just because of how annoying it sometimes felt. And overall, I thought the film would have benefited from more in-person Aubrey Plaza moments. Like I said, they do communicate over the phone a lot over the course of the film, but whenever they're on screen together, when it's Aubrey Plaza and this lead character together on screen together, that's where the film I think really shines. And we get a lot of time with them, but we don't get enough time with them to really kind of make the best possible film that could have been made. I really think you could have made the best possible film you could have made out of this story, out of this concept, if you had more of the Aubrey Plaza and lead character sharing the screen together moments together. So I thought that aspect of the story could have been better. Just more in person stuff with the Aubrey Plaza character. And overall, too, I thought some of the stuff going on with the lead character's brothers, it felt kind of undercooked to me. It just felt like she was kind of pursuing more time with her brothers just because her future self wanted her to do that. And unfortunately, these scenes don't really go anywhere. It's just kind of her playing golf with her brother, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And they just talk about stuff that never really gets resolved at the end of the film anyway. So it's just one of those things where it's like if you're gonna go, depart from whatever your concept and your story is, depart in a way where it's going to develop the characters and introduce us to stuff that we're probably not going to be super familiar with or have as much exploration with, and other aspects of the story. Once we go back to the central stuff. But for me personally, I thought a lot of stuff with the brothers don't really go anywhere. They're just kind of there to be there, just to show that she has a family and that she's just trying to improve her relationship with her brothers, like her future self wants. So I thought that aspect of the story felt a little undercooked as well. But overall, I'm going to give My Old Ass a 9 out of 10. I think this is a terrific film. It has a great concept going for it. The younger self to older self contrast was terrific. It really does depict the fun and the horrors of post 18, pre college life. The whole thing with family and friends. I thought those characters were well developed overall. And I thought the overall setting of the camping sites and the cranberry farms I thought were also very effective here too. Like I said, some negatives along the way that keep it from being a better rating than a 9 out of 10. But for the most part, I think this is a terrific film to go check out. If it's in your theater, if it's in your area, definitely go and check this one out. It's a 9 out of 10 for me. Really like this film a lot. I'm sure I'm going to be bringing it up at my top 10 of the year when I get to that in around New Year's. But overall, I do highly recommend seeing My Old Ass. It's a very good movie.